quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. And you then posted yesterday, ending every Conservative debate call out I'd do in 2026 with "Don't dodge, bro." That's not what Charlie would have wanted. Do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
white described,
dude. He wasn't
Destiny.
trans. He didn't have a trans girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the you may not want to hear this.
An ongoing investigation.
You may not want to hear it, Destiny, but the reality is the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just ask you.
There's no way to deal with it.
Okay,
you're living in a
accusing the governor of lying. Yeah. That's your prerogative. But
sure.
If it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why would you expect anybody, Destiny?
You can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't Trump go on TV and say, all of us should be less violent?
Why do you think
Trump say that?
Why do you think
your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
So let me get this straight. Just because Donald Trump was elected as our president, the left will now kill people in cold blood? By this logic, if Kamala Harris would have won the election, then the vocal supporters of her should have been killed? Explain that logic, please.
What do you think? No, let me ask a question.
On Donald Trump.
Let me ask a question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the opposing political party.
Destiny.
You have a huge audience of young men who listen to everything you have to say. So when it doesn't matter. You have a huge audience, and because of the fact that you have a huge audience, you have a responsibility to not turn. No, it hasn't. It hasn't been broken. I actually care about the country and want to bring people together. You do the opposite. You represent the worst of us, Destiny. You're embarrassing.
You should tell Donald.
All right, let me ask Destiny a question.
Watch how easy this is.
Hang on, don't all shout at once, please.
If Donald Trump would have come out and say, hey, we should all be less violent, I have no problem saying
I have one question for you, Destiny.
Why can't conservatives do that? Why can't conservatives do that?
Destiny, I have a question for you. Why do you think in your campaign for everyone to dial down the temperature, why do you think that mocking the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk when she posts an image of her at the coffin side, why do you think that constitutes turning down the temperature?
You can't turn down the temperature on your own. The president of the United States is not
the temperature.
able.
You're mocking his widow.
You're
mocking his widow.
We've had multiple political assassinations over the past year. What do you mean it's turning up the temperature?
Why did you mock his widow?
Online
Why did you mock his widow?
Because she's being used as a political weapon right now for conservatives to continue. What do you mean? Wow, she's literally doing.
Her husband just got murdered
on email. Yeah, and she's using it to drive up recruitment for.
And you can't even condemn the murder. You won't condemn it.
Can't even tell his side.
You're
to
so
turn the
deranged
down.
about Trump that you cannot condemn the murder because you're waiting for Donald Trump to say something.
Off of it.
All right, let me bring in Jack. Let me bring in Jack Posobiec. I got to say,
there's still no answer to that question, Piers. You can't say
which question?
Why can't Donald Trump simply go on TV and say we all need to turn it down, like Biden could, like Obama could, like the Clintons could, like Kamala could? Why not?
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
It's unbelievable. I'm not the president of the United States.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Unbelievable to me.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because it wasn't my side that caused it. It should be the one that is driving up the rhetoric.
It actually was your side that caused it. It was your side.
This guy was raised in a white Christian
household.
He was a
radicalized leftist ideology.
He wasn't radicalized by leftism at all. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
That's what the investigators are saying.
Was a conservative, just like the people that firebombed Shapiro's house was a conservative, just like all the J6ers were conservative, just like the Proud Boys were conservative. Every single one of these people. Oh, it's Jack Posobiec. What, the author of Unhuman? Another person that Charlie's put a good one, dude.
Well, I'll give you one last chance, Destiny, to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Yes, you are acting like an unhuman.
Why can't I hear Donald Trump condemn violence in this
country? All right, you won't condemn it. Okay, we've all heard.
That's insane.
We've all heard you repeatedly refuse to condemn it.
And we've heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn it too. But for some reason, the leftists on YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that sickening.
I don't think Destiny doesn't realize he is only invited on the show here as the token voice of the lunatic fringe.
Jack Posobiec.
I find it sickening that when people are getting killed in the country, the president of the United States on Fox and Friends, when they're begging him, what do you say to your followers that want revenge? He says, I don't know, all the elections are rigged. It's the radical Democrats. That's insane to me. And then the fixation is, well, who on Twitter and YouTube isn't condemning the violence?
All right, Jack Posobiec.
You have a great example here of the type of cancer I'm talking about, where when you present direct information, they refuse, they obfuscate, they refute, they say it's not true, they lie. You could see from the bullet casings, you could see from postings, you could see from everything out there that it's very clear what happened here. This is the same people who supported President Trump almost getting assassinated twice last year, Corey Capatore being assassinated
by conservatives.
In a situation. Again, see, just lies. That's all they do. They talk over. They don't even let you give a chance to speak. And something needs to be done, Piers. Something absolutely needs to be done. This ideology should be shamed, humiliated, driven from the public discourse. I mean, you've got people who have completely dissociated with humanity because all they care about are clicks and YouTube streams and likes. Go to the casket. Go to the gravesite. Go talk to the widow. You know, I don't even know how to discuss this with someone who's completely lost all touch with reality.
Yeah, I mean, Anna.
What's Jack's answer to why can't the president say we should all be less violent?
Right. Because you can't even condemn the cold-blooded execution of Charlie
Donald Trump
Kirk.
Turns on Destiny.
I don't think you're in the
YouTube,
position to
says,
demand anything from anybody
on YouTube. That's how I'm going to take my.
You're not in any position to condemn anybody for anything. You won't condemn a cold-blooded murder.
He's the president of the United States. He's the president of the United States. No one here can answer that question.
Basic humanity says the murder was horrific. Why can't you say it?
To be less violent.
Why can't you say it, Destiny?
For over a decade.
To say the murder was horrific and unacceptable.
Why can't Donald Trump say it?
You can't do it, can you?
Hear any words for Donald Trump?
All right, Anna Kasparin.
Donald Trump. Nothing exactly.
Anna Kasparin. To me, this is what I'm talking about, that I think there is an element of the left, the hard woke left, that have completely lost their minds. If you are not able to just outright simply condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk, and if you cannot stop yourself from mocking his grieving widow, you are sick, as I've just seen from Destiny. The sick
thing is weaponizing a widow's grief to try to do recruitment for your political party. That's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. She's showing up in emails for recruitment drives for TPUSA.
What did you think the assassination of a political figure would do? What did you think the outcome was going to be? What did you think the outcome was? And by the way,
are you asking
really,
me for the pragmatic political
your
outcome,
behavior?
or are you asking
Hold
me
on.
for?
Hey, how about take it easy on the
rhetorical.
Adderall? Take it easy on the Adderall, and let me answer the question that Piers asked me.
You must have been really bullied today, I
my
guess.
Let Anna speak, please.
My behavior is not reliant on how anyone else behaves. Every morning I wake up and I make decisions about how I choose to react or respond to things. I don't wake up in the morning, check what Donald Trump has to say, and then base my own personal behavior on his behavior. I agree with you in that it would be very helpful to have the leader of this country want to turn the temperature down. And he hasn't done that. I agree with you on that. But that doesn't change the way I choose to respond to what's going on. The idea of mocking a woman who is now a widow with 2 young children who witnessed her husband get shot in the neck and bleed out to death. How could you mock that? What is wrong with you? I just don't understand it. That's it. I don't understand it. I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you
it's such a simple thing. If you're going to weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment, and further radicalization of the other side, then of course you not only have the ability to mock it, I think you have the obligation to mock it. It's insane.
Only liberals can defend criminals and then call the people who fight back against them the criminals. You see, the Charlie Kirk assassination has done a great job identifying the worst of humanity, and it turns out they're all Democrats.
Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
Since others are using her grief, she's the one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in TPUSA ads 1 or 2 days after.
If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech. I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved away
and when
from
something
identifying as a
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just said that you don't.
Believe it or not, people like Destiny are the exact reason why so many Democrats are starting to lean towards more the right.
What the flaws on the left happen to be, the weakness in their arguments. No, it's not about the way I get treated.
You don't
I get treated
let's
like
throw
crap
a camera
from
in
both
front
sides
of
of
you
the
and have
political
you do
aisle.
mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, the
we're
president
talking to a guy who said he'd be okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're talking to a woman who went on and did the whole
Destiny.
conservative media outlet with Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck and had
Okay.
nothing bad to say whatsoever. I know where your bread is buttered. I know where
And
you're
it was
making your money
great.
from.
I had awesome conversations. I don't regret it at all.
That's great.
I also had a conversation with Jack Posobiec on her take. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Jack,
what democracy is about. Having an exchange of ideas.
That comes out of his mouth.
All right, let me bring in.
I don't agree with him on everything, but at least we can have dialogue.
Anna, you're completely right, by the way. Anna is completely right.
Didn't it?
And the irony of Charlie Kirk is that he led the way in going in to debate with people who hated him. And he would try and have respectful dialogue.
Charlie Kirk beat up on college students.
Unlike
That's all
you,
he
Destiny.
did. Let's be
Let
real.
me bring Andrew Wilson in.
So do you.
Let me bring in Andrew Wilson.
So do you. You beat up on college students. You're going on a college tour.
Charlie
You're going on a
Kirk is
college
trying to
tour
hold
right
higher
now
level
to
debates
beat
and
up
you guys
on
kill
college students. What are you talking about, Destiny? That's what you're doing right this second, is going on a college tour to go beat up on college students. By the way, can I just ask you a question?
I don't
yes
exclusively beat up on college.
Can you actually answer? Can you actually answer? Hang on, calm down. I just got one question. I got one question for you, and I want you to actually answer it. Are you glad Charlie Kirk is dead?
No, I don't think anybody in this country should be dying to political violence. It's insane. The past 5 years in this country has been crazy. But the reality is, until conservatives
So then why did you say to your co-host that Trump deserved a bullet? Why did you tell him that?
To say until conservatives have to say, hey, we all need to be less violent, there's no purpose in Democrats doing it, because every time Democrats disavow, you further entrench your guys' delusional beliefs that all the violence is coming on the left. Donald Trump can go on TV. He can say, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. They can go on Parler and say, we heard you. They can go to the Capitol and break in and try to insurrect. They can get convicted in front of a jury, and then Donald Trump can pardon them, and we can come out and go, hey, guys, why aren't Democrats disavowing violence? And pretend that the problem is coming from the left. Democrats do a disservice to this country by disavowing violence constantly when the president of the United States
Let me respond
won't go on TV and say all of us need to be less violent. How easy would that be?
Now, to translate this in the language of the disciple of the soy, the left, and the democratic terms, what this beta male disciple of the soy is trying to say is, we're so deranged and violent that we'll murder innocent people when we don't get our way politically. And somehow that's your fault for not giving us what we wanted.
Why did you say to your co-host that the bullet was for Trump? Why did you say to your co-host that the best place for the bullet was Trump? Why did you say that?
Why did Donald Trump call
It's a whataboutism. Whataboutism. I'm asking you a question. I can't be whataboutism if it's my question, Destiny.
Why won't Donald Trump
answer the question?
Right, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this before I cut mics?
Because you don't care.
Destiny,
you don't care that Kirks
Destiny, allow Andrew to repeat his question and let him ask the question. Then you answer it, okay, Andrew?
No, I want to hear the other side first.
Let him ask the question.
Donald Trump
Let him ask the question, Destiny, and then you answer it. Andrew.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The Piers Morgan show is starting to turn into a political version of the Jerry Springer show. And damn it, I'm all for it.
Destiny told his co-host, when asked point blank if he wanted the bullet to kill Trump, that the worst thing that could have happened was the bullet missing. He said this to Pisco. I watched it, okay? This guy's an obfuscation machine. And if you know what else, Destiny, why should we believe you? I think you are glad Kirk is dead. And all of your tweets seem to prove that. And you would have been happy if Trump was assassinated. You've made that very clear. So why not just be truthful for once in your fucking life and say the truth, that you don't care that Kirk is dead, and you're actually probably glad he is. Isn't that really what's true?
I don't want anybody in this country to die to political violence. I don't think in the United States of America that should be happening. I don't know why it's so hard for the president to say the same. I think it'd be the easiest thing in the world as a president. Biden did it for 4 years. That's why everything was way cooler when he was here, like in terms of temperature. The Clintons have no problem saying it. Barack Obama has no problem saying it. Kamala Harris has come out and said it. Every Democratic lawmaker and leader has basically come out and said it. But for some reason on the Republican side, it's just civil war, civil war, civil war. And the Republican president of the United States, who has presided over more violence politically in this country, more large protests than any president in all of U.S. history, for some reason can't bring himself to say, all of us need to calm down. And
so did Trump deserve the bullet? Did Trump deserve the bullet?
This is all you care about are the political hit jobs.
Just answer the question, bro. Did Trump deserve the bullet?
Did Donald Trump
deserve the bullet
on his side ever? Did Donald Trump
answer the question? Did Trump deserve the bullet?
You can't answer the question. We're here to play.
No, bro. It's my turn to ask the question. It's your turn to answer.
Did
Trump deserve the bullet?
Did Trump disavow violence in this country ever?
Did he deserve the bullet? Yes, he's disavowed violence. But again, I just did. Now your turn. Now your turn. It's your turn.
Did Donald Trump?
Did Trump deserve the bullet?
I never said that. No, I never said that. No.
Okay, except you did to your co-host.
No, I didn't. Oh, wait. When did Donald Trump disavow? Wait. When did Donald Trump disavow violence in this country?
Your co-host, you lying sack of shit. If he wanted to kill Trump, the worst thing that could have happened was the bullet missing. That's what you said, bro.
Yeah. And this is where when you're putting YouTubers and tweeters on the same level as the president of the United States, this is why conservatives are absolutely brain broken when it comes to violence in this country. And that's why it'll continue.
But Destiny,
I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. All this feels surreal to me. Like, I honestly still can't believe I watched Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck for speaking. That will stay with me forever. I honestly can't get that video out of my head. I wish it never happened, and yet the people on the left are celebrating Kumbaya as if they just won the Powerball lottery. It's absolutely disgusting.
Destiny,
are going to turn around and be like, I can't believe it. What's going on? What's happening here?
Okay, Destiny, if you care so much about political violence in America, Why don't you lead the way yourself without mentioning anybody else? Why don't you, Destiny, right now just outright condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because we've been doing that for a decade. One side can't turn down the temperature.
You can't do it.
Side can't turn down the temperature. If Donald Trump can't, then the left shouldn't until he does.
Got it.
Republicans
okay, you don't want to do it.
need accountability for their actions. They need some responsibility for the insanity.
He had it coming,
even though you take none yourself. Let me bring in Jack Posobiec.
We absolutely,
Democrats. All right, that's enough, Destiny. I'll bring in Jack Posobiec.
Yeah,
Jack.
Okay. Nice. Both sides it.
Jack.
Yeah.
What is your response to this?
I mean, Piers, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, this type of ideology where you've got someone who's willing to mock Erica, who's been standing strong for her family, for her children, she will never be able to grow old with Charlie. She will never be able to be with them again, have more children, to have grandchildren, to have those memories, to raise them. It's all gone. Every single moment of that future that they had was gone because someone fired a bullet at Charlie Kirk that said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And now you have people celebrating it. And when you ask people
That's
about
not even
it,
the bullet that was fired. How are you lying about this?
Shut up, Destiny.
Holy
shut up.
Shit. You're so
Shut
shameless,
up.
dude. Oh my God. You're not even inside the right bullet. You're such a disgusting piece of shit. Holy
What a pedantic point. What a
It's not pedantic. This guy's a professional liar.
It's total pedantry.
This guy probably
I would like to let
Destiny is mentally ill. Only mentally ill people are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk.
I would like to let Jack finish his point, please.
Yeah,
and they'll claim there's no leftist connection. They'll claim there's no there, and then go so far as to lie and say there's some kind of Christian conservative connection when you could see the writing on the bullet casings. And so, these are very common symbols associated. Whatever. The point is, right? It should be very, very clear. Are we connected with our humanity or are we not? And some people are willing to do that. Anna's been willing to do that. We've done shows together. They've been fine. They've been good. We've jousted. We've done the back and forth. Dustin and I in the past have had shows together where before he kind of took this turn, and you think there are people who can just be willing to stand up for humanity.
Jack, it reminds me a bit of the journey I've gone on, very different circumstances, but the Israel-Hamas war. The reason I asked everybody on the pro-Palestinian side for months after the war started, do you condemn what Hamas did, is I think it was very enlightening as to the humanity of the person by how they responded. If their immediate response was, of course I do, the mass murder of civilians on October the 7th was a horrendous atrocity, then we can move on to an intellectually honest debate. If they refuse to condemn what Hamas did, it's a completely different debate. And similarly, right now, I feel if you can't condemn a lot of what the IDF are doing, frankly, it's my opinion, in Gaza, then the same thing. If you're unequivocally like, it's all fine with 20,000 plus kids being killed, then I've got a problem with that too. But I do think you've got to try and maintain in all of these debates a modicum of humanity about people who are actually being killed. And what is terrifying about the mindset of a lot of people on the woke left I've seen since Charlie Kirk's death is the brazen glee that they're taking to his murder. And then when I see even Destiny, who's a very well-followed person on the internet, well-known, when Destiny, frankly, if you can't bring yourself just to say the murder was horrific and should never have happened, it's a very simple sentence. It's just basic humanity. It really makes me despair for where everything is going, because it's indicative of the mindset of, I can't give an inch to my political opponents, therefore I lose my humanity. How can that be right?
Because you can't give an inch to political opponents that won't recognize or acknowledge anything they've done is wrong. It's all it's done is gotten us here. This is where we're at because of that exact mindset. Will any of the conservatives here acknowledge the conservative that murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband and shot the other senator in Minnesota?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just
that it was
about
a
all
conservative
political
shooter.
violence.
That it was a conservative shooter.
I don't know the details on that particular.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Destiny, a disciple of the soy who is infused and injected with estrogen, a literal cuck who lets his wife's back get blown out by other men. So why would any serious person take this man seriously? He's a literal joke.
Case, if
Of
I
course,
did,
yeah,
and
of
it
course
turned
they
out
don't,
that it
yeah.
was the case, of course, I would say that such violence should be disavowed. Thing is, you can't hold your entire moral standard based on what you think Trump is doing or not doing. What does that have to do with you, Destiny? It has nothing to do with you. You can easily
has
just
to do
say,
with is that
you
when
can lead by
conservatives
example and say,
refuse
let's
to
all tone
acknowledge-
down the
You
violence.
can't lead by
That's
example.
what
I'm
you
not the
want,
president
right?
of the United States. That's what Democrats have been doing.
Wait,
for
you
the
can't
last
lead by
decade.
example because you're not the president? That's
No,
the
when one
stupidest thing I've
side,
heard
if
today,
one
Destiny.
side wants to fight and the other side doesn't, then you're going to fight. One side can't decide not
What
to
are you
fight.
talking?
If the other
That
side
makes no
decides to.
sense. What does that have
What
to
do you mean
with
it
you?
makes no
You
sense?
can-
If
you
some
can
guy comes up to
easily-
you to
you
fight,
can easily
and the
just
other
say it
side
now,
says, I
Destiny.
don't want to, you don't really have the choice there.
Lead by
That's how fighting
example, then.
works.
Lead by
You
example.
can't lead by
and show
example.
us.
That's called dying.
You can.
Actually,
Right
I
now,
thought-
you
I
do it
thought-
right
I
now.
actually-
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize this 20-minute video in less than 10 seconds, Destiny argument is, if Trump was not the president, then we wouldn't be throwing this hissy fit. You guys want to know what's funny? The fascists of today call themselves anti-fascists. And the best part is that all these people who scream about fascism don't even know what fascism is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.